Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, our founder and the savior of all the living entities in this Kali Yuga. Some unnecessary creepers growing with the Bhakti creeper are the creepers of behavior unacceptable for those trying to attain perfection. Diplomatic behavior, animal killing, mundane profiteering, mundane adoration, and mundane importance, all these are unwanted creepers. Purport. There is a certain pattern of behavior prescribed for those actually trying to become perfect. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we advise our students not to eat meat, not to gamble, not to engage in illicit sex, and not to indulge in intoxication. People who indulge in these activities can never become perfect. Therefore, these regulative principles are for those interested in becoming perfect and going back to Godhead. Kuti Nati, or diplomatic behavior, cannot satisfy the Atma, the soul, cannot even satisfy the body or the mind. The culprit mind is always suspicious. Therefore, our dealings should always be straightforward and approved by Vedic authorities. If we treat people diplomatically or duplicitously, our spiritual advancement is obstructed. Jiva Himsana, killing of poor animals, is undoubtedly due to envy of those animals. The human form is meant for those undergoing for the understanding of Krishna consciousness, Athato Brahma Jigyasa, for inquiring about the Supreme Brahman. In the human form, everyone has a chance to understand the Supreme Brahman. The so-called leaders of human society do not know the real aim of life, and therefore they are busy with economic development. This is misleading. Every state and every society is busy trying to improve the quality of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. This human form of life is meant for more than these four animal principles. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending are problems found in the animal kingdom. And the animals have solved their problems without difficulty. Why should human society be so busy trying to solve these problems? The difficulty is that people are not educated to understand the simple philosophy. They think that advancement of civilization means increasing sense gratification. There are many religious propagandists who do not know how the ultimate problems of life can be solved. And they also try to educate people in the form of sense gratification. It's also called Jiva Himsana. Real knowledge is not given, and religionists mislead the general populace as far as material profits are concerned. One should know that whatever material profit one has must be abandoned at the time of death. Unfortunately, people do not know that there is life after death. Therefore, mundane people waste their time amassing material profit, which has to be left behind at the time of death. Such profit has no eternal benefit. Similarly, adoration by mundane people is valueless because after death, one has to accept another body. Material adoration and titles are decorations that cannot be carried over to the next body. In the next life, everything is forgotten. All these obstructions have been described in this verse as unwanted creepers. They simply present obstacles for the real creeper, the Bhakti Lata. One should be very careful to avoid all these unwanted things. Sometimes these unwanted creepers look exactly like the Bhakti Lata creeper. They appear to be of the same size and the same species when they are packed together with the Bhakti Lata creeper, but in spite of this, the creepers are called Upashaka. A pure devotee can distinguish between the Bhakti Lata creeper and a mundane creeper, and he is very alert to distinguish them and keep them separate. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadam Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shrita Padakam Shri Guru Vaishavamsha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karna Sandho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vikasa Swaminati Namane Harijana Ganabadi Gnana Karmanda Hari Prakatita Parabhakti Bhakti Siddhanta Kantihi Vinaya Nikara Lakshmir Nimna Medaira Gamyo Bhuvijayati Vikaso Bhakti Purvo Yatindraha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Deshatarine Vagishaya Srivadani Lakshmi Yasya Shivakshisi Yasyasya Hridaye Samvitam Nrsimhamaham Bhaje. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yad Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Yashi Devi Parabhaktir Yata Devi Tata Guru Tasyaite Katita Hyarta Prakashante Mahatmanaha. So, thank you for having us here. And you're feeding us so well. So, I thought, and now I'm sitting on a platform elevated than the devotees in front of me. So it is my most sovereign and humble duty to perform, is to speak the absolute truth, putting aside all other things. When Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur got initiated by Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, and they were initiated by the way Mahabhagavats initiate each other. When a Mahabhagavat disciple, when a Mahabhagavat guru has a Mahabhagavat disciple, the initiation may be however the guru decides it can be. So he sprinkled upon him the dust of the dust from his lotus feet, and he gave him the name Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Dayata Das. So when Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj kept his lotus feet on the lotus head of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he gave him the instruction to preach the absolute truth, putting aside all other things. So this is the most important thing for all followers of the Brahma Mahatva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya to do, is to put aside all other things and preach the absolute truth. So therefore, we're present over here, and it is our sovereign duty to present the absolute truth, putting aside all other things. So we're reading this verse and we're seeing this, that it's a very important thing for us to protect our Bhakti Lata. What is the verse speaking about the Bhakti Lata?
There's other keepers of the...
No, that's this verse, but there's a particular verse where we get the Brahmanda Brahmate Kona. That's right. Brahmanda Brahmate Kona Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. The living entities are wandering in this material universe from one universe to another to another to another, but somehow or the other, by the mercy of Krishna, one gets a bona fide spiritual master, and by the mercy of the bona fide spiritual master, one gets the creeper of devotional service. The one gets the Bhakti Lata Bij. He gets the seed of the creeper of pure devotional service. And the living entity must very carefully protect this creeper against all other things which are entering. All other weeds, the mad elephant offenses, everything. The living entity must protect against. Therefore, we should understand that, there are 10 offenses to be avoided while chanting the holy name of Krishna. What did the Chaitanya Charitamrita say? Bahujanma kariyadi shravan kirtan tabutana paya Krishna pade prematan. That you could chant the holy names for many, many births. This is amazing, actually. This is a really amazing verse, actually. It's so amazing, right? You can chant, usually when you chant the holy name of Krishna, if you chanted it, you expect to attain love of God, right? That's a desired goal. But if we chant the holy names of Krishna with the offenses that we commit, the offenses that can be committed, you could go on chanting the holy names of Krishna for many, many births, and you will not attain love of Godhead, which is the ultimate goal of the chanting. That's pretty amazing, actually. Contemplate it. Do some vichar in this regard. How is it that the holy name, who's non-different from Krishna, who's identical from Krishna, and in some cases, the Naam is more merciful than the Nami, right? The holy name is more merciful than Krishna. Because for us to go and directly approach Krishna in the form of the deity, it takes a lot. You should be second Brahmanically initiated, you should be very clean, so many rules and regulations that we follow. But the holy name of Krishna, Nam Namakari Bahuda, Nija Sarva Shaktis, Tatrarpita Niyamata Swaranena Kalaha, Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi, Dudraiva Midrishami Hajani, Nanu, someone say? Someone say, she mom saying she looks like you, but okay. I was like a little taken back. Dudraiva Midrishami Hajani, Nanu Ragaha. that there's no hard and fast rules for chanting the holy names of Krishna. You have so many holy names. So the Nami is more merciful than, the Nam is more merciful than the Nami. So how is it when you're chanting such a pure holy name, especially given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how is it that we don't get love of God? That's something we should wonder. We're chanting, we're putting aside so much effort into chanting, so we should be very careful to guard ourselves against the 10 offenses. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Purusha Prakriti Stohi, Bhunkter Prakriti Jan Gunan, Karanam Guna Sangasya, Sadasad Yoni Janmasu. That was the translation?
That the living entity bewildered by material energy.
Okay.
He continues to take various births.
Okay.
Due to his past karma.
Right, but the most important point?
Thinking himself the doer.
No, you're mixing up two verses.
I'm mixing.
So the thing, Karanam, the reason, Guna Sangasya, he's associating with the material modes of nature. Karanam Gunasa. Karana means reason. Guna means modes. Sangasya means associating with. Karanam Guna Sangasya. Because we're associating with the modes of material nature, we are getting different kinds of, different flavors of bewilderment. We're bewildered in different flavors. That for some people, some may be Maya, some things may be Maya, for some people it may not. For example, for Indians, cricket is a big Maya. But soccer isn't. Not so big. But in South America, soccer is a big Maya, and cricket, no one even heard about it. In America, basketball is a big Maya, and cricket is not. Soccer, I guess, is becoming a big Maya now, these days, unfortunately. But these are big Mayas. All these things are big illusions. These are big illusions that a living entity undergoes. And depending upon the modes of material nature that we are influenced by, we will have to guard ourselves against particular kinds of offenses that we chant over the holy name of Krishna. Now, if I went up to, let's just say in American, for example, Jacob, before, when you first came to Krishna consciousness, if I told you this, let's see, which Shivasya Shri Vishnurya He Guru Namadi Sakalam Dhiya Binam Pashyat Sakalo Hari Nama Hitakaraha. If I told you that you should this holy name of Krishna is there, and you should not consider it to be a mundane thing, you would think, okay, I should make sure I should not consider it a mundane thing. But if I told you, Jacob, you should not consider the holy name of Krishna to be the same as the name of Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma, you say, okay, what's the big deal about that? Right? You wouldn't care.
Yeah.
If I told you, Jacob, Namno Bala Yase Hi Papa Buddhi Navidyate Tasya Yamair Hi Shuddhihi. That, if I told you that, Jacob, you should not commit sins on the strength of chanting the holy name of Krishna, you say, whoa, I got to be careful about that. Right? But if I told you, you should not consider it to be same as the karma kandi activities mentioned in the Vedas, you say, okay, what's the big deal? All right, I won't. Right? Yeah. Why? Because there's a different modes of material nature acting upon you in a different way. Right? So we understand it. It's a similar thing. So depending upon the modes of material nature that we acquire, we should be very careful to guard against certain things. The most unfortunate are are Indians like myself, where I have baggages of both sides. Where I have the baggage of course, the hang-ups of being Indian, and also have the hang-ups of having a Western mind. So both baggages are there for me. So I should protect against all. Everyone should protect against all 10, no doubt. But there's some which play out a bigger role. So we should notice in ourselves, and a person must be very critical with oneself. One should notice with oneself, what are my hang-ups? How do we know what we know? Who is teaching us all these things? How do we know what we know? What is our pramanas? What is our pramana? Okay. Yashasam with the Mutsrija. No, you're mixing up a few verses. When we learn verses too fast, we mix them up. Yashasam with the Mutsrija. Vartate kamakarata. Nasa siddhim avapnoti nasukam na param gatim. Then tasma shastram pramanam te karya akarya vyavastito Gyatva shastra vidanoktam karma kartum iharhasi. So we understand it like that. That these are, if you do not follow shastra vidhi, shastra vidhi mutsrijya, if you're not following shastra vidhi, vartate kama karata, if you're not then we will naturally act upon the platform of kama. Vartate kama karata. Nasa siddhim, you will not attain perfection. Nasa siddhim avapnoti. Nasukam, you will not attain perfection. Na param gatim. Nor will you attain happiness. You will not attain happiness, nor will you attain perfection. You know, therefore, tasma shastram pramanam te. That you should see, shastram pramanam te. You should see that shastra is your ultimate pramana. That is the ultimate guiding line in your life. And you decide what to do and what not to do depending upon that. Not on anything else. Tasma shastram pramanam te. Karya vyavasthito. Gyatva shastra. Knowing this, knowing shastra. Gyatva shastra vidanoktam. Karma kartum iharhasi. You perform your activities. But the nature of illusion and the nature of Maya and the nature of us, sorry to say this, if you are born in Kali Yuga and if you're not, if we haven't descended from the spiritual world just to preach Krishna consciousness, we are more or less filled with many demoniac qualities. If anyone of you here is a pure devotee, please let us know. We will definitely do Jayom Vishupad to you. But if you're not, this is something that we need to know. So what is the characteristic of demons? Krishna gives so many qualities. Dhambo darpo bhimanasya krodha parisham evacha ajnanam chapi chatasya partha sampada masuri. Krishna gives that. And the verse and chapter goes on. But the main thing we can see in demons that there's a lack of sense of discrimination. Pravritim cha nivritim cha janana vidurasuraha na socham nabi chacharo na satyam teshu vidyate. That the demons do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. They do not know. And because they do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done, they think that what is wrong is right and what is right is wrong. Such is a characteristic of people behaving in the mode of ignorance. Precisely. When you're in the mode of ignorance, this is how you behave. And then what happens to a person whose intelligence is in the mode of passion?
It's unfixed.
Yes, that's there. It's unfixed. But Krishna gives a very specific thing in the Bhagavad Gita. He says something very specific. What happens? You don't have to drop the Sanskrit on me. At least you should know the English.
Unlimited desires and longings?
Yes, unlimited desires and longings. That's the symptom of someone in the mode of passion. But when the symptom of someone whose intelligence is in the mode of passion is they cannot discriminate at all. Where they, for example, the British, you can understand that their intelligence is in the mode of passion because they compared the worship of Lord Jagannath, which is Shuddha Sattva, to the worship of the Africans that they do to some like village deity in Africa. Like they cannot distinguish between something being fallen and something not being fallen. Therefore, everything gets mixed up. Whereas the symptom of someone in the mode of goodness is obviously what? What is it?
There's proper discrimination.
Proper discrimination. You know what is to be done and what is not to be done. But we see that in Kali Yuga, we are primarily surrounded by ignorance. Why? Why are most people in ignorance in Kali Yuga?
Lust.
Okay.
Lack of establishment of Shastra Vidhi.
Sure. Is there a specific quote from Shastra? Kalo Shudra Sambhava. That if you are born in Kali Yuga, naturally you're a Shudra. But the Acharyas can lift us up to different varnas. They can lift us up to the platform of being a Brahmana. They can lift us up. So, because Kalo Shudra Sambhava, we're born in Kali Yuga, so primarily most people, the intelligence is completely in the ignorance. Therefore, they do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. So, as we come up in our devotional service and practice of devotional service, our intelligence is purified, our consciousness is purified, and we perform devotional service properly. And we perform devotional service properly, then naturally what happens is, then, we start to rise above the modes of material nature, right? What's the verse in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, you'll rise above the modes of material nature by practicing Krishna consciousness? Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. That Mam chayo avyabhicharena, Krishna wants us to have avyabhicharini bhakti. You know what that means? What does vyabhichari mean? Vyabhichari means what? Vyabhichari means prostitute. Vyabhichari, you see, that's why there's brahmachari and there's vyabhichari. Brahmachari is the opposite of prostitute. Vyabhichari, that's what it means. So Krishna wants us to have avyabhicharini bhakti. Krishna, this is an ecstatic table. He dances listening to the Bhagavatam class and the Chaitanya Chaitamrita class. We have an ecstatic table here. So we see this over here that Krishna speaks about avyabhicharini bhakti, which means bhakti which is uncontaminated. Bhakti which is not diverted towards anything else or anyone else but me. Yes, Krishna is the most transcendently egotistical person you will ever come across because he wants you to exclusively worship him alone. Any other verse in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna wants you to exclusively worship him? It's that's there, but Krishna, if you read the translation of this particular verse, Krishna uses the word exclusively. Prabhupada translates exclusively. This is my favorite verse in the Bhagavad Gita. I aspire to someday live my life by this verse. Ananya shintayanto mam yejana paripasate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Chapter 9, text number 22 of the Bhagavad Gita speaks about, Krishna says, for one who constantly meditated upon my transcendental form and renders exclusive devotional service unto me, I preserve what they have and I carry what they lack. This is the ultimate Sharanagati Prapati verse, actually. It's amazing. But then you see so now we were quoting Mamche Vyabhicharina, Bhakti Yogina Sevate, Sagunan Samatityaitan Brahma Bhuyaya Kapate, right? So Krishna says, avyabhicharini bhakti. But does Krishna say avyabhicharini bhakti only once in the Bhagavad Gita? Yes or no?
Probably not.
Probably not. That's an educated guess. So how many times do you think Krishna says it? You just throw out numbers right now. Right? Well, I think 17. How many chapters? 18 chapters, right? Yeah. Well, you could try. How many times? He's cheating now. 4, okay. Anyone else?
18.
18, okay. That's 3. And what do you think? 5, okay. Madhya, you might as well just say number 2. 6. The right answer is 3.
Oh.
He gets extra roti today.
Okay.
He gets extra roti and dal for you, okay? So, Krishna says it 3 times. Why? Why? 3 times for emphasis, right? You know, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. Kalo Naseva Gatiranita. Distribute books. Prabhupada said 3 times. You see, even if you see in the Chaturshloki of the Bhagavatam, Krishna opens up the Bhagavatam by the Chaturshloki of the Bhagavatam by what word? Exactly. Aham eva sa eva agni. And that verse, he repeats the word aham how many times? Come on, by now you should know. 3 times. 3 times. So 3 times for emphasis. That's a Vedic thing. It's Vedic, you know. So that's a Vedic thing. Krishna repeats it 3 times. Why? You know, because he wants to make this point. So Krishna says avyabhicharini bhakti 3 times. Avyabhicharini bhakti. That devotional service exclusively unto me. This he says it in the Mamche Vyabhisharina verse. Again, he says it in the 13th chapter. And then I think, I'm unable to remember the exact verse right now, but he says it again 3 times. Krishna says this in the Bhagavad Gita. So we see this, that Krishna is mentioning avyabhicharini bhakti. Pure, undiluted devotional service, concentrated devotional service unto him. Now, what is a verse speaking about pure devotional service? It's a famous verse, everyone should know. Anya bhilashita shunyam jnana karmatinavritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktiruttama. That we should perform devotional service without any other desires. Anya bhilashita shunyam. You need to have 0. Shunya. Anya bhilashita shunyam. Jnana karmatinavritam. Our devotional service should be freed from the influence of jnana and karma. Anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhakti. By doing so, and performing devotional service in a favorable manner, we will attain the lotus feet of Krishna. It's a very beautiful verse, very amazing. It's very amazing, actually. But, we should see and understand this requires a lot of surrender. It requires a lot of surrender. It requires us to look in and see what are our hang-ups. Are we working around our hang-ups, or are we going forward in devotional service? What should we do? So now we say, okay, so pramana is there, Shastra is a pramana. But is that our only pramana? What's that other pramana?
There's Guru and Sadhu.
Okay, is there anything else? Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Okay. But there's one more.
Paramatma?
Maybe for advanced devotees like you, as far as I'm concerned. And when we follow the instructions of spiritual master, of course, we get in touch with Paramatma, but that's part of the Guru, Sadhu, Shastra principle. You should know this. You've heard so many of these classes. The verse in the Bhagavatam, it's called Aitihya, which means these are four ways that we understand. So Guru is, what does Guru mean?
Heavy.
Spiritual master.
Spiritual master.
Guru means heavy, sure. Guru is heavy, and Guru means spiritual master. Sadhu is?
The saints and devotees.
Okay. Shastra is scripture. And what is Aitihya? How have the previous devotees acted? For example, now, if you see in the Nectar of Devotion, you will see that you should not turn your back towards the deity. So, how do you walk out of the temple room? Prabhupada doesn't write that in the book. How do you walk out of the temple room?
Back up.
You just have to stay there and never leave. No. How do you walk? If we see how the way Prabhupada walked out of the temple room, either you go all the way to the corner and you walk out of the temple room, or you walk backwards. You see? So we learn that from the way the previous devotees behaved. Right? We learn from how they behaved by seeing this, okay, this is the tradition. Tradition is called tradition. So now, okay, we have one verse for Shastra, where Krishna says, Shastra is your pramana. Can we think of three other verses where Krishna speaks about Guru, Sadhu, and Aitihya? We already have a verse, Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te. Now, can we think of three other verses where Krishna speaks about the pramana being following the Guru, Sadhu, and Aitihya? Guru is easy, obviously. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashrena sevaya pradikshanti jnanam jnanam satadarshinaha. That's obvious, okay? Then what are the other two?
You could argue maybe Machidama Gita Prana.
No. Krishna says very specifically, follow this. Or Yad yad achariti shreshta sattat evetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute loka sat anuvartate. Whatever great men do, common men follow. So the sadhus are the greatest people in our line, right? Mahajano yena Yatasapanta Tarko Pratisha Shatayor Vipinam Nasa Rishiryasya Matam ne Binnam Dharmasya Tattvam Nihitam Guhaya Mahajano Yena Gatasapantaha. That we should be able to understand, Tarko Pratisha. So there's so many people have so many opinions about so many things in this material world. Tarko Pratisha Shatayor Vipinam Nasa Rishiryasya Matam ne Binnam. Unless you have your own mata, unless you have your own opinion, you're not considered a great person. But Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhaya. But the secrets of Dharma are hidden in the heart of the pure devotee. Mahajano yena gatasapanta. Therefore, we follow in the footsteps of the Mahajanas. So that's a verse for following Yadidacharya Shresh. Then what about doing how the previous devotees did? I'll give you a clue. Krishna speaks about Janak Maharaj in this verse. He says, Purvai purvatara kritam. You have to behave how the previous devotees behaved. You have to understand this like that. So, looking at all this, we should be very careful to notice our weeds and like the weeds in our heart. And like Srila Prabhupada says over here, in this word purport that we read, that, sorry, I'm reading the wrong purport. Okay. Where did it go? Okay, alright. Look, they appeared, the upashakas, right? The weeds of devotional service appear to be of the same size and the same species when they are packed together with the Bhakti Lata creeper. But in spite of this, the creepers are called upashaka. A pure devotee can distinguish between the Bhaktilata creeper and a mundane creeper, and he is very alert to distinguish them and keep them separate. So, by no means, of course, am I a pure devotee in any way, shape, or form. But I've been trained and associated closely with a pure devotee. Therefore, it is my ardent duty that wherever we are invited and welcomed as nicely as we are over here, where we are, I think like the hospitality level is like 11 out of 10 here. It's very amazing. And, you're treating us with so much love and respect. Love as though we are your own sons, and respect like we're sadhus. So it's our duty, if you don't mind, I would like to say a few things which will help you advance in your Krishna consciousness. If you give me permission to do so, I would like to say so. Do I have your permission? I would like to hear a verbal one.
Yes.
When you
you have to say yes.
Yeah, like when you're like filling up like some form or something on and say, now we need your voice signature. Can you state your name and say yes or something, so you don't need to state your name, but you at least said yes. So, we see how our previous acharyas, they were very specific about how the worship of the Supreme Lord needs to be done, So I would humbly request, last time, that definitely there's so much advancement made that the demigods were moved from the altar, but I would humbly request if Lord Shiva and Ganesh and Parvati could also be moved. Why? Because we see Srila Prabhupada, he set up so many temples and so many altars, but he didn't have us worship demigods. And yes, Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, Lord Shiva is the topmost devotee, but the gopis are higher. And all our acharyas are gopis. So we worship them. And by doing so, we will not lose anything, but we will gain. So this is my humble and ardent request. Please don't mind me saying things like this. It's my duty to do so. It's my duty to do so. And, otherwise we'll be cheaters. Why should we tell them anything? Why should we tell them anything? They're feeding us. We have a nice place to stay. They're such good cooks. Why should we tell them anything? Anyway, let's just come anyway. They'll get purified over time, this, that, and that. But, you love us and we love you also. That has to be there. Love is reciprocal. You're working so hard. Prabhuji is working so hard. Getting this Lakshmi, buying this boga, buying this facility, having this nice place for us to come in, have a crash pad and distribute books and do all these things. So love has to be reciprocal. So, this is our way of showing love, the best possible way that we can. So this is our humble and ardent request. One thing is for sure, Vaisheshika Prabhu will not approve. So we should always think that if I'm doing something, what is the best use of my time? If my spiritual master was to walk into this room right now and see what I'm doing, will he be pleased with me or not? And if we think like that, the Guru is always with us. Even after the disappearance of the spiritual master from a mortal vision, if we are always thinking, if my Guru was to walk in right now and see what I'm doing, would he be pleased with me? If we think like that, the Guru will never leave us. The Guru will never leave us. So this is our humble request, so we can understand that, us, all of us, at least 4 of us coming from Hindu backgrounds, this is our conditioning, these are our hang-ups. But if we give it up, then we will gain more. We will gain more. We went into this person's house the other day. Mm-hmm. We were in Tampa. And we were, I never met this guy before. He was a really sweet, like, Telugu Brahmin guy. And, he just let us, like, come into his house and spend the night. Because, we'd have to, like, sleep in the van or get a room or something. So he said, you stay in my house, no problem. I thought, oh, that's amazing. And he served us. Obviously, we didn't eat what he cooked. But, like, he let us have his house. He let us have his kitchen. He was so amazing, so nice. And then, we went upstairs and he had all these beautiful pictures of, like, Krishna and Balaji, a form of Lord Vishnu, Rama and all this. And then he had Sai Baba. I hope you all don't know who Sai Baba is. If you do, I feel bad for you. You know who Sai Baba is?
I know.
You know of him? Okay, anyway. He's like this ugly old Muslim fakir who Hindus think that he's God. So then, before I left, I distributed a Bhagavatam set to him. And I preached very heavily to him. I told him the Sai Baba is nonsense. He's a beefeater. He made other people eat meat. He's a Muslim fakir. You should not do this. He said, okay, you know what? Because you're saying this, I'm going to give this up right now. And then I told him, you know what? One thing which we really like to do is when people agree to do this, we take off all the pictures of Sai Baba that are there in the people's houses. Can I take all the pictures? He said, yes. And then we took off the pictures in his house, all the pictures in his house. And then he said, actually, wait, you forgot one thing. He said, what? He said, look up. And there's this freaking like 3D diorama of Sai Baba. And we took that off too. And then we went and we put it in the trash can. And now he's very happy. He messaged me, thank you so much for doing what you're doing. And, I thank you so much for bringing me closer to this faith of Krishna consciousness. Now he's reading the Bhagavatam now. And he said, can you please send me a picture of Radha Krishna for me to replace in the place of Sai Baba? That's a victory for the Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. One step closer. There's so much more that he has so many Hindu hang-ups, of course. But all that needs to be changed. And it will happen over time. But if we are following strictly, we are following sincerely, we're chanting 16 rounds. All of us in this room are chanting 16 rounds. We're following the 4 regulated principles. We are serving the devotee. Shuddha Bhakata Sharana Renu Bhajana Anukula. Bhakata Siddhi Bhakata Seva Parama Siddhi Prema Lati Karamula. It's so amazing. We're doing all these things. So the part of following the pure devotees of Krishna, part of following, is to do exactly as I said. Because by doing so, we will not lose anything, but we will gain. We will only gain. So, this is my humble request. Either you can take it as a request from what you consider a sadhu, or you can take it as a request from your humble son, whatever. But whatever it takes, or you can take it as a request from this arrogant, puffed up brahmachari. That's usually the bhav that I guess people have when they see an arrogant, puffed up brahmachari like myself. But whatever it takes, if there's any truth in what I'm saying, if there's any consideration, if there's anything which I've quoted which makes sense and all those things, I would humbly request, if this could please happen, you will make so much advancement in your Krishna consciousness. It'll be unbelievable. It'll be amazing, actually. You will see, you'll make leaps and bounds. So many verses, that's very good. But now it's time to apply them. That's even more important. Avya Bicharini Bhakti, right? Mam Chayavya Bicharina, this verse. Now it's time to apply it. No more slacking off on your 16 rounds. It's complete nonsense, actually. You should not slack off on your rounds. You should chant your 16 rounds every day. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, make the chanting of the holy name the most important part of your day. So it should be we should not doze off when we chant. We should chant every day. And I was sitting over there and I had this habit of always timing my rounds. And I was sitting there and I was chanting maybe 6 minute 50-second rounds or 7 minute rounds. When a minute I sat on that thing, my rounds were taking 7 minute 20 seconds. That's like a Mahasanskarification. That's like a japa destroyer right there. Do not sit on that chair and chant. During japa period, put an emergency caution, do not enter tape on there, But we should say, we should somehow or the other make the chanting of the holy name the most important part of our day. And if we do so, we will be blessed abundantly by Krishna. We will be blessed by Krishna. So many things will happen naturally, So at least, we should recognize our hang-ups, and if we don't, if someone comes and tells us that, we can take that also. It'll be good for us. So it's a humble request. If there's any questions, comments, or protests, do not throw eggs at us because we are vegetarian. But I know you won't because you are vegetarian too. But, I guess we'll take tomatoes. So, any questions? Yes.
Just a comment.
Yes.
And allow me to finish.
Yeah.
Lord Shiva's position cannot be compared to Sai Baba to start.
Yeah.
But with that said, as followers of the ultimate path of bhakti, Krishna requires a certain exclusiveness in his worship. And not that it's wrong to have veneration for Lord Shiva, but it takes away from the exclusiveness or the knowledge that he's included within Krishna. And then there's also the part of being chaste to the sampradaya, that if we're going to follow in this sampradaya, we have to have a sense of caution not to change the way
Exactly.
things are being done.
Yeah, precisely. Of course, in no way can we compare Lord Shiva to Sai Baba. But I was just giving an example of what happened.
And
You know.
we should still have the deepest love for Lord Shiva,
Yeah.
just like how we should have the deepest love for
All
all
devotees,
Vaishnavas.
yeah.
But we don't put all these great personality on the altar
Mhm.
only because, that's how our sampradaya does it.
Yeah.
To keep a sense of exclusiveness. But it doesn't take away from our love for
Yeah.
these great personalities.
Yeah. And we should say that, we have respect, for Lord Shiva. We have respect for Ramanujacharya also. We have respect for Nimbarkacharya. We have respect for the Vallabh Sampradaya, Pushti Marg. But that would not necessarily mean that we would put their pictures on our altar. And of course, I never stated, nor am I saying that you said that I stated, but just to emphasize, I'm not saying that Shiva and Sai Baba are on the same platform, no way.
Right.
But I was just giving the example.
Yeah.
That this person was willing to give it up right away, and good for him.
This was just for the benefit.
Yeah,
of the
benefit
wife.
of-
I didn't
yeah.
want them to be there to be
Yeah.
any.
No,
thoughts
yeah.
of whatever.
And we can also say that,
Clarify.
I'm really happy you use the word chaste, the parampara. Just like your wife is a very chaste lady and she's very chaste to you. There's no doubt about that. So similarly, we should also have that level of chastity towards the Guru Parampara. It's called fidelity. It's a word even deeper than chastity, actually. Fidelity, chastity could be on religious platform too, but fidelity, but it goes deeper. It's like a heart-to-heart connection. So we should have that. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Korya Aikya Arna Koryu Homaneyash. We should have no other desire other than that. And you read the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives so many verses, speaking about how people, should they're alpa medasaha, Krishna says. So everything that needs to happen, we go simply to the Guru Parampara, and we don't lose, but we gain. We gain more and we gain more. And Lord Shiva will be more pleased with you if you follow your Guru Parampara and Guru Varga more seriously. Lord Shiva will be more pleased with you. So that's the point we should understand.
That's a very deep point because, especially someone with a Hindu background, it's like somehow we feel to give up the worship of certain deities.
It's offensive,
that
yeah.
It's more offensive.
Yeah.
In my personal journey, I started worshiping Mother Saraswati, and when I just came to Krishna consciousness, there was an area of conflict because I did make a vow to worship her for the rest of my life.
Mm.
And then now it seems like I'm not worshiping her. But then, as I read Bhagavad Gita, I understand that she's included in the worship of Krishna, and it didn't separate the personalities, but it kind of bring them together that to honor Mother Saraswati. Now I should worship Krishna nicely because I made that vow, and then there's also the verse where after many births,
Bahunam
one who
Janmanam.
comes in knowledge worships the Lord. So
Yeah.
I see it as a journey bringing me to different levels.
Yeah, and two verses you can understand. One verse, of course, is like if you water the root of the tree, then the whole tree is thing. But then another thing, more exclusively, if you want to know, this is verse. Vagisha yasya vadane lakshmir yasya chavakshisi yasyaste hridaye samvet tamrasimha mahambache. That upon the tongue of Narasimhadev resides Divya Saraswati. So by worshipping Narasimhadev, you're worshipping his wife also. Upon the tongue, she's there. Divya Saraswati is present. Divya Saraswati. So, and yes, you're worshipping. So in regards to Saraswati, there's two kinds of Saraswati. One Saraswati is Divya Saraswati, and the other one is the Shuddha Saraswati and is Dushta Saraswati. One gives you Paravidya and one gives you Aparavidya. So Saraswati can give you, Dushta Saraswati can give you Paravidya. It's like, you can become a great mechanical engineer, or you can become a great hospice guy, or whatever. I don't know what it's called. Nurse, I presume. And you are, what do you, You're a nurse also?
No, I want to become a devotee. I don't
Oh, very good, very good, very good. That's the I guess I said something nice today. Okay, so whatever, you want to become a great engineer, whatever, So Dushta Saraswati gives you Paravidya. But Shuddha Saraswati gives you Aparavidya, by which you could transcend this modes of material nature, transcend this material world. So by worshipping Lord Nrsimhadev, by exclusively worshipping was Mumukshavo Ghora Rupan Hitva Bhuta Patinata Narayana Kalashanta Bhajanti Anusuyava, then we do not want to the Vaishnava devotees of the Supreme Personality of God, they have nothing against the ghastly forms of the demigods or the other demigods. They have nothing against them, but they strictly avoid worshipping them. And they simply worship the all blissful forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is our desire. This is what we want to do. This is how we want to do it. And when we do like this, when we go and we do like this, where we perform devotional service to the Supreme Personality of God, we get the blessings of Shuddha Saraswati. And there's a whole excerpt about Saraswati Puja in Bhakti Siddhanta Vaibhava, where he said that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that we offer puja to Saraswati, to Divya Saraswati, by offering puja to the bona fide disciplic succession. And of course, it's amazing because Saraswati Puja, his name is also Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So anyway, so much amazing stuff is said, but I hope, is that good?
Yes.
Yes, anything else?